I don't need to waste your time here. Adele needeth, knoweth, introductioneth. You know Adele, you've probably heard this album, you've probably been made aware of this album's existence. It's probably breaking records as I am speaking during this recording, and also when I end up uploading this video, it will have broken something. Yeah, we just know it will have, because it's Adele, one of the biggest artists of our time, one of the most celebrated and acclaimed singer-songwriter, powerhouse vocalists possibly ever. When you think of history of music and you look back at all of the great singers, I think Adele, for a lot of people, would be up there as one of their favorite vocalists, as one of the best vocalists in many people's eyes. It's pretty difficult to argue with, really. She has an obviously fantastic voice. I don't necessarily think that's the only thing that can make music good, though. I feel as though that X Factor attitude is not really one that I can subscribe to. I think, honestly, there is so much more to music than someone just having a great voice. But I think Adele has proven herself to be more than just a voice. So I'm not going to, slander her in that sense. She is a very good artist. The one thing I've always found pretty insane, though, is that no matter how many stylistic changes there have been in modern popular music over the past 10, 15 years, she's managed to maintain her success throughout all of it. She isn't necessarily leading the wave of, piano, slow, heartbreak, artists who are constantly topping the charts. There's been all kinds of different trends topping the charts and being hugely successful. We've seen it through the TikTok days as well. Anything can go viral these days, and no one really sounds like Adele. So maybe that's why she's maintained her success, because she is pretty one of a kind in a big field of various types of artists. You've got hip-hop, you've got house music that tops the charts, you've got grime in the UK, and Adele surpasses all of those trends and maintains her success. It's kind of impressive. Her new album 30 here is set to be a bit different in the sense that it's not necessarily about a breakup per se, although when you actually listen to the album, it is pretty much, again, her making breakup songs, to be honest. I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to this idea that this album is new for her lyrically. On every track, there are some exceptions to the rule, though, which I'll get into, but I do think she has maintained her usual shtick across this album due to the breakup with her husband. Now, she wrote this song after they had split. No, she wrote this album, during the split, during the breakup, but they didn't actually get divorced until this year. So, of course, all of the feelings and all of the emotions that she was going through during that time has all been poured into this album. Now, it was set up to be more about her child, a love letter to her child. I don't necessarily think it's necessarily been that throughout the album. There are some tracks that do touch on that. I do want to start by talking about the opening track, though, Strangers by Nature, because this is a very unique song for Adele. This sounds like it's straight out of like a Disney musical. She sounds like she's doing that big moment in any of those kinds of films where the protagonist, the main character, comes through with their solo performance, and the music is just matching that so bizarrely. It's really odd that she kicks off the album like this, but it kind of works, honestly. And then the humming at the end of the track is really lovely. It sounds serene, to be honest. It's a very interesting way to start things out on a musical level. I actually think it works quite well, considering it does sound like it's born out of a musical. But it does sound quite lovely, to be fair, and it leads really well into Easy on Me, which is, of course, the lead single, touching on the fact that, she just wants to sort of make an apology to her child, basically say, look, just go easy on me. This has been hard. I never wanted you to have to go through this kind of thing. I think, this album really could have gone in this direction the whole way, and I think it would have been a really interesting narrative, but I wouldn't necessarily say it does that and sticks the landing the whole way through. I think this track overall is pretty nice. It is very Adele, though. I mean, we've heard her do songs like this so many times across her career. You could put this track on any of her albums and it wouldn't sound out of place. Like, that's how much of an Adele song this is. The only thing that would be out of place is the lyrical theme, but musically we've heard her do this 100 times. I will say I was a little perplexed about the line "I was still a child" though on the chorus, you know, "Go easy on me, I was still a child." Unless I'm missing some extra context here, I'm not, you know, looking through every single aspect of Adele's personal life. I'm not even sure how much of that she even puts out there, to be honest. She's relatively quite private in general. But yeah, I don't know what she means by that. I mean, she was in her 20s when she got married. She was in her mid-20s when she had her child. So you're an adult. you weren't a child. You were 100% an adult. So unless there's something I'm missing from that, but yeah, that one line stood out to me as a bit confusing. My Little Love, one of her best songs ever. I will say it. This track is beautiful. This track is stunning, to be honest. The sadness lurking through this song is heartbreaking. This is such a good way to do a song like this. She includes the voice notes, the voice snippets of her talking about how, you know, she's kind of riddled with anxiety. She includes a conversation with her child on this song as well, saying, you know, you do realize there's no one else out there that I like more than you. And god damn, that shit, that is so, oh god. When I heard that, I was like, oh man, don't make me cry, Adele. Ah! But yeah, that is a really good way to do a song like this. It's incredibly personal. It's only specific to that one person, and she does it in such a great way, and it makes it relatable too. There are so many people out there that have gone through similar things like this. Really nails the song, really, really good. And another thing I want to praise the album for is her going into the more soulful stuff, which I said a few months ago when I recorded my A Decade Later 421, I've always felt she should lean into this more than she does. She gives us a lot of tracks like Hello, she gives a lot of tracks like Someone Like You, and while they are performed so beautifully, Easy on Me adds to that list as well. They're beautiful, they're performed immaculately, you can't say she puts a foot wrong with her vocals. They're just a bit predictable. That's what I kind of have an issue with those kinds of songs. I just know what they're going to sound like before, you know, I've even heard them. I knew what Easy on Me was going to sound like, but when she goes in the soulful direction, I feel like she lifts out a side of her that I really like, and I want to commend her for that. And I think tracks like Oh My God are tracks that she should do more of. The stompy percussion is great, the obvious soulful influences. She's got her influences from the 60s and the 70s, it's pretty clear, but she nails it. She has a voice for it, she has a breath control for it, she has the attitude as well. It really comes through in Can I Get That as well. Sorry, not Can I Get That, Can I Get It, which that attitude comes out more. The music sounds really good. The performances from all the people involved in the instrumentation, again, can't really say anything negative about it. I will say the whistling isn't that great though. I don't know what it is about whistling in music, but sometimes it can just be a bit irritating. I don't really know why. I think it sort of ruins the chorus a little bit. I don't think it needed that, but I think everything else about this track is good. Just feels a bit like it's filling space. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, aside from the whistling, I do think it's pretty good. I think Cry Your Heart Out again with the soulful stuff, really good here as well. It's a catchy little tune. Again though, there is one aspect of it that I just don't think works, and it's the pitched up vocals on the chorus. It's almost like she's almost getting there with these songs. She's doing it perfectly well on Oh My God, but some of the other ones, it feels like she doesn't quite reach the potential that the songs have. There's just these little things like the pitched up vocals on the chorus that just make me enjoy the song less. But again though, I'd still take her doing these soulful tracks over some of the predictable piano slow songs, because we've just heard her do it so many times before. She obviously does them well, but I think she has a bit more to give really than some of these tracks. But then again, I do think towards the second sort of half of the album, we do start to lose sight of the potential this album could have reached. Tracks like I Drink Wine, I think the backing vocals on this one sound a bit awkward, to be honest. The lyrics, I think, are really hitting cliches at points as well. Because everyone wants something from me, you just want me. I was just like, ugh, nah, I'm not feeling that line at all. Really not getting much of an insight to anything here. This could have been a way more interesting album in a lyrical sense at times, because songs like this just don't really bring much lyrically. I also feel the same about Woman Like Me. I just don't get much out of this. It's just her basically saying to the guy that he's not doing enough, he's not good enough for a woman like her. And fair enough, you know, that's fine, but these lyrics just feel very uninspired. She hammers down that point as well about the complacency, the lazy thing. She keeps saying that line over and over again, and the more I hear it, the less impact it has. And it's not that great of a line anyway, to be honest. So yeah, just tracks like this feel very generic. You know, it could have been anyone that wrote this, whereas My Little Love didn't have that. That was a song that only one person could have wrote. And the album just loses that as we go further into it. But yeah, A Woman Like Me musically is fine, got a bit more of an R&B twist to it. I think, honestly, Leanne LaHarvis did songs like this and how they sound much better on her self-titled album last year. I think Hold On has really generic lyrics once again, really not feeling this kind of lyrical motif on this one. It's very hollow sounding for most of it as well, and then out of nowhere she just crashes into this huge like vocal like wah, and it just doesn't build into it. It just kind of like it gets shoehorned in, and then this gospel choir comes, and it's so late in the day as well, like it's so late into the song, and I'm just sat there like, why didn't this come earlier, and why didn't it build into it? Love Is a Game has a much more natural build. You feel it sort of pulsating and getting a bit more intense as you go along, and it sounds really great. The only thing I'd say though, again, lyrically, I just feel like this is really standard stuff. Like, you're closing out your album, this big sort of statement, this big piece of music about, you know, the personal life, the turbulence that you've been going through, and you just kind of end on this, again, really standard lyrical cliche of love is a game and I'm a fool if I play it. Like, is that it? Like, that's all you've got to say? You've been through so much. Your child has been through so much. There's so much to be said about this, and I just think this final climax of an ending musically sounds very good, but lyrically I was just wanting more. I was like, come on, give me that insight, give me some unique lyrical perspectives here. And I think this album lacks it more often than it brings it, to be honest. And yeah, sure, To Be Loved is a beautifully performed track, but again, really don't know if it adds anything new to the Adele playlist of songs that sound exactly like this, really. She reaches an unreachable level of emotional power on this track, but it's just the familiarity of it just feels a bit meh. It kind of like, oh yeah, we know she can do this. What else can she bring that we didn't know she could do? And one of the only tracks that has that is My Little Love, to be honest. That's one of the only songs where it felt like she brought something very new to the table. Because this is the thing, it's hard to explain and hard to put into words, but I think she lacks a bit of dynamic, to be honest, Adele. Like, regardless of what she's singing about, the emotion is always the same. Her vocals always have that same tone to them. There's always so much heartbreak and, you know, sadness in her voice, and there's so many layers of different things that she's singing about. You know, 21, 25, they're about slightly different things. This album's also meant to be about something different, but you wouldn't know that from listening to her voice, because she sings all of these emotions in the same way. I just think it's lacking the differentiation, and I just feel like the album loses its focus from the original, you know, first few moments that really set the album up nicely, the first few tracks. And then beyond that, I just feel like she gives us what she's always given us, and it gets just a bit predictable for me personally. I gotta go 5.5 out of 10. I just think the dynamic just isn't there. It's not wide enough. It's not varied enough. She does give us those soulful tunes at times. They are hit and miss, even if I do like that she gives us those. But towards the end of the album, lyrically, I just think she loses the vision, and it just doesn't really compel me. Like, I couldn't imagine sitting through half of these tracks. The first half, yeah, but the second half, not as much, to be honest. So they're my thoughts. Hopefully I outlined them well enough for you guys to understand. Thank you for watching this review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't get too mad at me. I know this is Adele, but I promise you, I've been fair here. I am just speaking on how I feel. It's Adele. She's a brilliant artist, but she hasn't delivered on this album for me. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Thank you for watching. As always, do have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. Would love that. Tell me what I should review next. And tell me your thoughts in the comments about my review here. Your thoughts on the album as a whole. Have a good day. Goodbye.